Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and I'm so fucking sick of the French right now.
Why is that?
For a couple of reasons, Bradley. One is that, as I may have mentioned on the show, my partner has a minor in French, so he speaks it conversationally. He also knows I hate it. And so when we have an argument or he wants to annoy me or he deliberately wants to make me enraged, he will lapse into French and start speaking in French. And I've never had the time in the 3.5 years of our relationship, almost 4 years of our relationship now, to actually learn French. So he still can use this against me. The other thing is also my partner's fault, is that there is a game called Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which he insisted that I play. He played it. He insisted I played it. This was months ago. But I am playing through it now because it's nominated for a shitload of Game of the Year awards. So I'm like, shit, I have to go play this French game. The game is really good, but it is aggressively French. There is an Eiffel Tower and a beret in like literally one of the first couple of shots, right? So that's very French. That's in my life. But the third thing that pisses me off about the French is this short that we're going to talk about today. I like the short. The French just make me very angry. I'm letting my personal bias bleed into my discussion of this short. And I don't care that I'm letting my personal bias bleed into my discussion of this short. Yes, honey, I would probably like France if I went. I'm not going to.
So if we haven't teased enough, yes, we're going to France for our next short, which is called The Spy Dancer.
Good for you for being all serious and moving us along.
Trying to move us along here since we wasted like almost
25 minutes.
Heated rivalry before this.
No. We also talked very briefly about Young Justice, and a solid half of that was talking about Titans too. I've watched a lot of TV this week. I've watched 4 TV shows this week, episodes from 4 TV shows this week. And if you want to hear me and Bradley talk about 3 of the 4 of those, you can subscribe on patreon.com/Gold Squadron Games for $3 a month. Can you tell I'm delaying us?
This week, we're talking about Star Wars Visions Volume 2, The Spy Dancer. The premier dancer at an Imperial-frequented cabaret uses her unique skill set to spy for the rebellion, but the presence of a mysterious officer threatens to derail her mission. This was produced by Studio La Cachette. I looked up the pronunciation because I wasn't sure if it was cachet or if it was cachette. Google seems to think it's cachette.
I'm not going to try because my partner is in the next room. And I never know if he can hear me. Sometimes he will text me randomly because he can hear something I say. If I attempt to pronounce a French word and he hears me through the walls, my phone will just start vibrating on the desk. So I'm going to take your word for it.
That's my guess, my best guess, because I asked Google, I said, how do you pronounce Studio La Cachette? So they said that that's what it was. Cachette or cachet, I think it just depends on if you have a French accent or not. But
it apparently means the hideout.
Ooh, the hideout. Interesting.
According to the filmmaker Focus, it means the hideout. It is a small studio located in Paris,
Well, they are best known for providing animation services for a couple different TV series, but the 2 that stood out to me were Gennady Tartakovsky's television series Primal and the Netflix anthology series Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes.
So
yeah, they've not done a whole lot that I recognize.
It was pretty much this, that thing I mentioned. I mean, there's other stuff, but like stuff that we would know, obviously. I'll just go into the writer-director because it's easier. The director is Julian Shang. I think it's how you say his name. He was one of the co-founders of Studio La Cachette. He also worked on the artistic supervision of characters in animation for projects such as Love, Death, and Robots and Primal for Cartoon Network. And he also wrote this short along with Gabrielle d'Adrimont, who doesn't have a lot of credits, but this was one of her main ones. Would you like to know who do some of the English voices for this?
I would love to hear who did some of the English voices.
And I don't know why I always have to preface this, but I feel like all of the actors who are doing the English voices are also French. I don't know why I need to specify this, but it makes sense, obviously. It's just every single sort we've been doing this, they've been Irish, they've been French, they've been Korean. Like that's what
So
they
I
are.
watched the filmmaker focus actually. I can
Mhm.
explain this, at least for
Okay.
this one. I watched the filmmaker focus and this was the first project, according to the studio, that they had ever like managed all of that themselves. They've always performed animation services for other projects.
Right.
This one was entirely Studio La Cachette from the ground up. They oversaw the music, they oversaw the voice cast, they oversaw every aspect of production. This is them all the way down. And so I think they cast locally because
Okay.
I normally expect that at least one like celebrity voice actor is going to be in these. I was surprised this one's an entirely French cast, even in the English dub.
Right. Yeah, because normally with Visions, what they'll do is, yeah, they'll get either a minor celebrity or a very well known English American, celebrity to do the English
Well,
dubbing. So
so they have an actor that you have seen before, but we'll get to him.
first up is Camille Cotton as Louis. Camille Cotton is a French actress and comedian. She appeared in the Ridley Scott film House of Gucci and the TV show Killing Eve. She's also appeared in a bunch of French stuff, but those are the two quote unquote American things that we would know. Up next is Lambert Wilson as John. Lambert Wilson is a French actor. He is known for playing the Merovingian or Frenchman,
Merovingian.
Merovingian or
He is
Frenchman in the Matrix
he is
films.
the Merovingian in the two Matrix sequels.
He will also be playing the character of Nicholas Flamel in the upcoming Harry Potter series. Uh,
Boo. Fuck J.K. Rowling.
there you go. I was waiting for that.
What other bad thing was he in?
Oh, that was the only two things I recognized.
Oh, there's one in here that I recognize.
Oh, what?
This guy's in the 2004 Halle Berry Catwoman movie.
Oh, I must have glazed over that because that's awesome. Good for him because honestly that
Yes.
movie is a bop.
Nope. It's right up at the top of the IMDb page.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah, he's in the famously bad. If
Famous.
you've never seen it, it is famously bad 2004 Catwoman movie.
Up next, we have Casey Chase as Hetis. She is a French voice actress and singer. She prominently participates in both French and English dubbing, particularly child programming, such as the Peanuts in 2015 or the Smurfs 2021 TV series, but a bunch of other stuff. But she dubs a lot of children's cartoon. And then finally, we have Rudy James Jepcott as the officer, who just has various voice credits on cartoons that I've never heard of.
Yeah, he hasn't done a whole lot, but you can see visually what this kid looks like
Mhm.
in the filmmaker focus because they have shots of a sequence where he's recording the roof scene. And you can see this guy's not very old. This
Yeah.
guy's maybe 20, 21, 22. Like he's been doing voice work since 2017. So he's got a couple of French things and then this, and he's not got a whole lot. He was a motion capture actor in Life is Strange 2. That's probably the biggest thing he's been in that isn't Star Wars Visions.
All right, give me your history, French Revolution, whatever, civil rights, whatever, World War,
It's
whatever
the French
speech.
Resistance.
Okay.
Yeah, so this short is very heavily inspired by the French Resistance. If you went through the Georgia public education system, then you may not be aware
I don't know what that
of
is.
how the Nazis worked. But the broad story arc of World War II was that the Nazis did a lot of invading stuff.
Sure.
And they invaded Poland, Czechoslovakia. They worked their way through Eastern Europe, and ultimately during World War II, as the war progressed, they would get stopped in Russia because you really should not invade Russia in the winter. It's a bad idea. Don't
Hmm.
do it. That has never been successful in the history of ever. But they also went westward and they took famously France. And they occupied France for
Hmm.
years. They overthrew the French government. They installed a puppet government. And there was a lot of French resistance fighting. And there was a point in the war, too, where the Nazis are bombing Britain. At this point, they're using France as a staging ground and Belgium as a staging ground to launch bombing raids on Britain in preparation for a full invasion. So that's happening. But while this is going on, there's a point before D-Day and before sort of the tide turns and it becomes more of a defensive war for the Nazis where France didn't know that any help was coming. So there were a lot of these resistance cells and pretty well coordinated resistance cells. Like the French resistance is held up in history as one of the most successful resistance movements in history. And they spent an extended period of time resisting Nazi rule in France. And so this short draws heavily from that, which I think is brilliant. I think it works so well with the short and also with the Star Wars universe. Like this very much feels like if the Ryloth arc were actually made by French people who knew what they were on about.
Right.
Like the subtleties and the details. Like, did you notice that the stormtroopers speak in American accents?
I noticed they
And
were definitely different. Yeah.
the officer is clearly a French guy trying to speak in an American accent. Like the
Mhm.
character is trying to speak
Right, right, right.
in an American accent. The actor is French and clearly making a choice here. This is not a dig at the actor.
Right.
But the actor has chosen to give this guy kind of an Americanized voice,
Hmm.
which I thought was really clever. But all of the resistance fighters and the locals speak in French or in French accent,
Right.
which is really fucking clever. Or like the entire premise of this is based on a real person.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm going to quote from the StarWars.com trivia guide. Quote, Loewe is based on real life figures of the French resistance in World War II, including dancer Josephine Baker, who used her celebrity as a means to travel and deliver important communications, end quote. So it's based on that. She's also based on a real dancer, like visually, like the way that she's dancing with a lot of drapery. They have actually a shot in the filmmaker focus of the real dancer who inspired her.
uh-huh.
And then they show her initial descent where the drapes kind of come out. And it's really impressive. Like this is a short that is absolutely dripping with French history and French architecture and French culture. And I loved it a lot despite my on record statements about the French. I loved this short a lot. And I think that it just fits in Star Wars so well.
Yeah. Well, this one seems to be the most. I mean, I keep saying that every time we watch one. It's like, oh, it could kind of fit in canon. Like, no, this could probably just fit straight into canon. There's no like, if like, there's nothing weird here, nothing like outlandishly different or crazy that it's like, oh, that doesn't belong. Other than this new alien species, which I really enjoy because I just like the design with they have the little horns and they have the heterochromia eyes or whatever. It just makes them very interesting and visually
Yeah, they're almost kind
interesting.
of they're pretty new to Star Wars. Like they're humanoid enough, but they've
Mhm.
got the little like forehead ridges and like you said, the heterochromia. They're almost kind of a Sith light, which
Mhm.
I thought was a really, really neat design choice. I don't know if it was intentional, but they reminded me a lot of the Sith species from Legends and
Oh,
the design of the original red skin horned beings called the Sith. For some reason, the name took on a different meaning, but I've always
right.
thought the visual design of them was very cool.
Okay.
And this reminds me of that, which inadvertently sort of lends this to sort of this understanding that these people have been here for a very long time and they're very deeply entrenched in their planet and they're deeply entrenched in their culture and the empire has kind of come in and taken it over. I love this short. I don't think this is the best one. I think it's top 3.
I think it's up there for sure. Yeah.
I think Screecher's Reach is number 1, and then this one and I Am Your Mother are neck and neck.
Hmm.
It is the French versus the English again.
I
All of
yeah.
history, all of fucking European history for a long time has been these two countries fighting. Then Germany happened, and they decided to fight Germany instead of each other. That's a real thing. That's an accurate depiction of history. I will not be taking questions at this time. Is a gross oversimplification, but it is accurate. But I do think it's funny that France and Great Britain made 2 of the best shorts that are duking it out for the second spot in my rankings. Obviously, the Irish short had to be number 1.
No, I like it. I think I put it up there with In the Stars is like kind of tied. I think that's kind of like where I leave it at. But because I also I like Screecher's Reach, but I don't love Screecher's Reach. So I'd kind of like honestly I put it under. But I think also for me, I'm not a huge fan of the art style in this one. It's fine. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. And I think I was misremembering like what I thought about it before because I remember being like, oh, I didn't like this art style before. And then I rewatched it and I was like, okay, it's not that bad. I actually don't mind it. There's something about it though. I don't know. Maybe it's just like sometimes when they do the static shots or like the zoomed out shots, it's like overly simplified, and I don't love when cartoons do that. I know they all do it, but I just, you have to save money somewhere. You can't, do a ton of inherent detail when you're showing like wide shots and stuff. But they're especially with like characters and things. But it's okay. I mean, I liked it. It kind of looked like a painting or something, like a
That's
French
because it's all
painting.
hand drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they again, behind the scenes you can watch that this studio specializes in hand-drawn animation. So they're using like tablets and things, but every frame of this is drawn by a human person.
Right. Well, when we say
Like
hand drawn, we
it's
mean hand drawn on a tablet.
yeah, we mean hand-drawn on a tablet. Like
Right.
yeah,
Otherwise, it
but
would have
there's
taken 5+ years to make
yeah,
this
there's no
short.
CGI, there's
Yeah.
none of that. There's a reason it flows as well as it does.
Yeah.
And it has that kind of jerky hand-drawn quality to the
Right.
animation. I loved the music personally, and I
Hmm.
found it really interesting too because Bradley made me go do research on these. So now I've learned all sorts of fun facts about them.
Fun
That
facts. Yeah.
so normally when you do a production like this, you will animate everything first, and then you will write the score for it.
Right.
This short did it in reverse.
Hmm.
They wrote and recorded the score right before they said in the filmmaker focus, they waited until the last minute
Wow.
to finalize the score, to start the animation,
Right.
because they wanted the score done so they could animate to the music at parts,
Okay.
which is part of why music plays such a central role in there. Like that
Right.
like frog man that's playing the thing. I love how when she's fighting the stormtroopers, the frog is still playing.
Got to keep going. Got to keep
He's
the music
still
going.
going. He's providing a musical background for her
I love it.
to kill all these stormtroopers.
No,
Like
amazing, actually.
it that was really interesting to me as a music nerd that they animated this to the music as opposed to scoring it after the fact. Which the only thing I can think of recently that did something like that was Dune 2. Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Dune Part 2, I think it's Hans Zimmer wrote the music for that. Wrote part of the score right after they finished Part 1. So they were able to shoot it. But then the guy who makes those movies is also French. So that does make sense.
That makes a
That
lot of
makes sense.
sense, actually.
That makes sense. Where I think this short, because I also don't remember this one being as good as it was when I watched it this morning.
Right.
I think we're getting deeper into the Visions season release problem, which is this is a problem that season 1 had.
Yep.
It's a problem that season 2 has had. And I'm going to say it's also a problem season 3 had, to where they drop these things all at once. And then you watch them all at once. And by the time you get this deep into it, you're starting to get a little fatigued. Which
I
is why
think
it's
that's,
such a
yeah.
weird choice that they put Black at the end of season 3.
No, okay, we can't talk about
Because
that.
that one,
It'll take too long.
that one you cannot come into fatigued, or you're going to be like, what the
You won't finish
fuck?
it like I didn't because it was really hard to finish. But no, it's weird because the placement of this one, and I'm looking at like the list, you're right. It's kind of in the worst spot if you think about it
Mhm.
because it's the 6th episode. So at this point, you are fatigued. You do not want to like you're like, oh,
You've
I
been
have
doing this for an
3
hour and
more.
a half.
Exactly. You're like, ugh, I gotta get through all of this. Like, this is the point where you tune out. And I actually remember that's probably exactly what I did is I started tuning out because it is in the place that it is. And I'm looking at the rest of them and I don't like the next two. And I think that's because I was at the fatigue part. Maybe my, point of view will change as we rewatch them. However, I just remember the next two at least being like,
I
okay,
also
what?
remember the next two I didn't like very much.
Yeah,
And I particularly didn't like one of them. And maybe my opinion will change.
right,
But I do remember watching this, and I do think this is a mistake on Lucasfilm's part. And I do hold this one specifically on Lucasfilm and Disney Plus.
right.
The decision to release these all at once.
Because there is
Where
no
I
real reason to do that. I mean, if you think about it.
there is, but it's a stupid reason.
Oh, okay.
And it's because you got to remember when the first season was coming out and when this one was coming out, less so with season 3. There's not much of a reason to do this for season 3. But when these two were coming out, we were still in the we need Disney Plus to become solvent. Our solution to this is going to be to dump money into this motherfucker. And so we are going to aggressively have shows coming out all the time. And the problem with that is that Star Wars, you can't really have content always coming out for Star Wars. Star Wars needs to marinate.
Right.
Star Wars needs to have time before and after a piece of Star Wars comes out so we can build into it and so we can process it. And they just kept dumping stuff on Disney Plus all the time. We remember how frustrating it was, one, to try to cover things as they were coming out. Two, we couldn't do anything for like 2 years other than the strike. That was when you and I feel like, did some of our most interesting content because we weren't doing the Disney Plus show because they were constantly putting these things out. You have 3 seasons of Bad Batch that are coming out that are 20 episodes long. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Mandalorian Season 2, The Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka, The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew. Fuck, I'm sure there were others that I've just forgotten off the top of my head, but it's constant. You can't drip feed these shorts. And I do think they suffer as a result of that.
Yeah.
I do think that when we get this deep into it, if you're like us and you feel the need to watch this immediately, you're going to get to this one and you're not going to give it a fair chance because you're going to be like, I'm tired. I've been doing this for 2 hours. This is my entire May 4th is sitting here watching this.
Yeah. I have the same problem with Love, Death, and Robots. They do the same thing. They drop the whole season at once, and then you're just like, oh, I didn't like half of these because I kind of watched them all in order as they go. You just let it play through, and you're just like, that one's forgettable, or this one's
I
whatever. Like,
hate the streaming dump all at once model. And I hate
yeah.
it for this exact reason. Like, I understand there are people that don't like waiting a week between episodes. That's fine. I think it makes the conversation around a show worse. And I think it makes the viewer experience of a show worse. Is if you're only getting 1, maybe 2 episodes a week, that's better for the ecosystem. That's also better for the company because it keeps it in the public eye in a way that, like, a lot of shows fail on streaming in part because they dump them all at once. And so everybody gets their hot takes out there and the content gets made out there. And then we move on to the next thing in like a week or two.
Right.
And we forget about it. And the drip feed of content keeps it relevant and keeps you coming back for more. And there are shows that I'll binge watch, but I also know that like Interview with a Vampire would have been way worse if I had like tried to watch the whole show in one day. Like that wouldn't have worked at all. Netflix is doing this weird thing where it's fucking trying to walk this weird middle ground because Netflix is like trademarked the binge watch model. Like that's its whole thing is you can binge watch things on Netflix. Look at how much binge watching you can do. And then it wonders why nobody talks about its shows. And so now it's like season part 1, season part 2, season part 3. And I'm like, okay.
I hate it, but I also like, because obviously, like, I'll use Stranger Things as the example because it's happening right now.
It's fucking everywhere here right now.
It's good for them in that we're all talking about part 1 right now, and we'll talk about it for the next week and a half, and then we'll forget about it, and then it'll be, oh my gosh, it's almost Christmas, it's time for part 2 to come out, and then we only have to wait another week for the finale. So I understand that. However, it's just a scam to get people to be subscribed for 3 months because the exact dating is the 24th, the 25th, so you have to have that month, and then you have to have it for the next month. So it's a scam. However, it does work in that we are giving time to breathe in between these epic, season finale kind of, or series finale kind of time. I like that aspect of it, but like for anthology shows like this, there's no real true reason to drop it all at once other than, you're going to forget about this in 2 weeks anyway. So we might as well just give it to you all now, which is fair because they're so short. But like if they made them slightly longer and then only did 1 per week, I feel like it might improve the structuring of the Visions series.
I think they can go untouched and then just drop them 1 per week.
Yeah.
Because it gets you logging back into the app. And that's part of the thing, right? Is the Netflix business model used to be if you wanted to watch a TV show after the fact, you had 2 choices. Your choice was either number 1, you could wait for them to do reruns of the show. Or number 2, you could buy and or rent the DVD. Used to be able to go to the Family Video or go to the Blockbuster and they would have a DVD of like 4 episodes of the show that you could rent. And you had to go and you had to rent the first 4 episodes and then watch them and then bring it back and then rent another episode. So Netflix started, I believe, as a DVD rental service. And then it transitioned over to being a streaming service because the idea was, well, shows are like licensing their stuff anyway for these DVDs. What we'll do is we'll have a repository of some shows that you can just get online and watch because Hulu was also taking off at this point. The benefit of Hulu was that you could watch old seasons as well.
Mm.
Hulu did the same thing. Netflix was kind of a you can watch it, whatever. Shows were still airing them on TV first, and that was where the ad revenue was coming in. But then Netflix started getting so many shows that people were just logging into Netflix or waiting for it to come to Netflix. And that's when the whole streaming thing started because Netflix was king for a while. And then every fucking body decided they wanted their own streaming platform. And now this is fundamentally broken the way that TV works. And I'm very tired.
So in all, you like the short.
All in all, I liked the short. Yes. I liked the short a lot. I thought it was very well animated. I thought it was beautifully shot. I think the voice acting was really, really incredible. A lot of tiny details in the short, like the way that the Imperial officer character has got his horns like cut off.
Shaved off, yeah.
Yeah, in the final shot, that was really heartbreaking. It's for better or worse, they wanted a short that was emblematic of France. They got a short that was very emblematic of France. And I think it was also nice too that the studio chose to go in like a historical French resistance, pride in our resistance against fascism direction, because I think genuinely what the nation of France did and what the French resistance did during World War II was one of the most genuinely impressive, like real life resistance movements against a fascist takeover of their country that we've ever seen. And I am glad that they made the decision that that was what they were going to focus on in this short. So, what about you, Bradley? What did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I really liked the artistry of we have someone who's a literal dancer slash performer or like the idea that like maybe it's like an aerial performer or a circus performer or some kind of thing are the people who are actually, doing the resistance behind the actual imperialism. I love that. I love when they always do like oh yeah, it's all the people in the circus are the ones that are going to help us, kind of thing. I think that's such a great little story. And I like some of the characters. They were interesting. I guess I'll transition into how would you like to see this continue? Because I like the concept and the idea that they've kind of left it open-ended, like, oh, that was her son, dun dun dun, like, he's been brainwashed into, being an imperial and all this. He doesn't know necessarily that he was kidnapped as a baby or whatever. And that is interesting. I just don't see how the story would keep going. I normally with these, I have like a pretty good idea, like, oh, this is how I can make it into a show or a comic or whatever. This one, because the whole entire story is based around the fact that she's this dancer or whatever, and it's the performing and the thing. If she doesn't perform anymore, she doesn't do the dancing or the thing, it doesn't really like make sense anymore. I feel like this is a very truncated idea for what a good show would be. Like, oh, it's the circus or the what is it? The
Cabaret.
cabaret. It's the cabaret that they work at or whatever. And then maybe there's stuff that's happening and the cabaret is like the main focus of the show. Like that's where all the stuff happens. But
Okay, so you want
yeah.
the musical Cabaret.
Yeah, basically. Oh,
There
a
we go.
musical. That's what this could be. I could
Oh,
see
this
this
would
as
be an
like a musical,
incredible. Actually, that's what I'm going to go with. This would be an incredible stage show.
a
Don't
stage show.
continue the story, but you could
Yes.
adapt this story.
Adapt this as a stage show.
Adapt this as a stage show because then at that point, there's always a question. So the thing with adaptation is there's always a question of why did you have to do it in this form?
Right.
What does the new medium bring? So when you adapt a book to film or a book to TV, a good adaptation like Wicked will understand that it's doing a different medium.
Oh yeah.
It's John Chu loves Wicked, but understands these are films now. So we can't just do the thing from the musical again. This is not only a different visual medium, but this is a different storytelling medium with different rules. And so a lot of times, like when animation gets adapted into something, a lot of times adapting it to live action isn't successful because the rules are so similar between live action and animation that it's not adding anything new to it. It's just doing the same thing again for money, but for some reason you've straightened Moana's hair. And we don't know why you've done that or why this exists when it's just the animated film again, but you've done so much CGI that it's practically animated again. You could have just superimposed The Rock's face onto Maui's body. Anyway, I can't go off on that. But I feel like if you were to do this as like a Cirque du Soleil type stage show,
Yeah.
then that would be a really cool adaptation of this same concept.
I think a stage show and or I could see the Baz Luhrmann, The Greatest Showman, Great Gatsby style movie where it's meant to be still a stage production in a sense, but it's in movie format. I could see that too. I think original songs thrown in there, and then the dancing and then the betrayal and all. I mean, like it just kind of
Yeah, you could
works.
you could take this same concept because that's always my thing is when we move something out of one medium,
Hmm.
are we replacing it with something that's interesting?
Right.
The thing about adapting a movie to a book, for instance, if you look at novelizations of movies, a good novelization will add to the experience and also understand that that's why we can read a book because we can slow down. Revenge of the Sith would be an incredibly boring movie if after Palpatine reveals that he is a Sith Lord to Anakin, he sits Anakin down and gets him a glass of water and patiently explains to him why being a Sith is not a bad thing, actually. Very boring movie if that happened in the movie. It is one of the best scenes in the book. No, really, that fucking happens in the book.
I know you've said before.
It's so fucking good, but like that's an example of something where the adaptational choice allowed it to tell the same story a different way and add something new to the overall story. And yeah, I think that I would rather see the Spy Dancer adapted into something else and
Right.
take this same strong core story and the same visual element that make up this animation and have someone put a new spin on them.
Right.
Not to say like it needs to be improved because it doesn't. I just want to see this the story is so strong at its core and the visuals are so strong at its core. I'd love to see how a different medium interprets them. What are we doing next week, Bradley?
Next week we're going to
Next
India
week.
and we're going to be discussing the Bandits of Golak.
We'll talk about the thing.
Yes, we're going to talk about the
We're
thing.
we're going to talk about the thing that happened very recently.
Yes.
As we were recording it. I will do more research on the thing. I have been
Okay,
waiting
good.
for research to come out. So I'm going to do significantly more research and try to get a handle so we can talk about it. But yeah, the Bandits of Golak is currently having a little bit of controversy
Right.
about this short. So we will talk about all of that next week. Look, I like the Visions episodes because they're less involved.
Yes.
And frankly, I think after the year you and I have had, both of us, we needed a break. We needed a minute to breathe. So if you want to know why Bradley needed a break, you can watch some of the TV shows that he's worked on at his day job. If you like reality TV, please watch them so he can continue to book new seasons so he can continue to get paid. These are such shows as Married to Medicine, seasons 9 and 10. New season of Married to Medicine is coming when, Bradley?
Season 12 is coming tomorrow, actually. So
Fuck,
it's
you're
already
on
out.
12.
So everybody can watch that now.
Yes, when you're
On Bravo.
listening to this episode, whether you're listening early on Patreon or you're listening when it drops on Monday, you can go start Married to Medicine season 12. He's also worked on Temptation Island, Queen's Court, King's Court, The Circle, some other stuff. He's worked on a lot. You can find me on the Star Wars TTRPG podcast for Light and Dice. That is wrapping up its second season. We have recorded the finale, so it's just a matter of Chris getting it edited and out. You can also find queer, mystery, thriller, crime drama books that I write. Those are called Beach House Studios. Those are available on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, and through your library. They can get it through Overdrive. Fourth book is out. It came out earlier this month. So you can definitely check out the series now before the fifth and final mainline book comes out early next year. I am back to working on that now that Legacy Expo is over for now. Anyway, well, we'll see you all next week. And Bradley, run our socials. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron gays.
I think you're projecting on
Look, it's their fucking croissant and their fucking palaces and their fucking Napoleon. I'm tired. I'm tired of the French.